What I did is first create the idea of a electric guitar, and what caused me to do that was playing in a little roadhouse, a barbecue stand in the country, halfway between Waukesha and Milwaukee in Wisconsin, and a fellow riding in the rumble seat of the car. And in those days they had little back seats. You open the trunk and you can sit back there. And he wrote a note to the car hop, and he just said, "Red, your voice and harmonica and your jokes are okay, but your guitar is not loud enough." And that made me go home and think about it. I said, I have a critic here that's got a good point. I should make the guitar as loud as I have made my voice and the harmonica in my singing. And I had done that by playing through my mother's radio and singing into the telephone. So I got the idea of eventually taking Mother's telephone apart again, or the other half of it. And this is the part you listen with. It's called a receiver. And with the receiver, what I did was suspend it underneath a string. And in order to prove my point, first I made a guitar on a string, suspended it on a railroad track, and made it into a guitar, a one-string guitar. I just wanted to hear the sound of that note on the most dense, rigid, solid piece of material that I could get. Then I went over and got a pine box that's the softest wood, suspended a string and did the same thing to the string on the soft piece of wood. Then held this part of the receiver of the telephone underneath, played it through the radio, ran to my mother and says, "I found it. It's the railroad track. It's the greatest sound I've ever heard." And Mother says, "The day you see a cowboy on a horse with a railroad track, singing with a piece of a railroad track." So I immediately got the message and proceeded to make guitar after guitar after guitar with this idea that it had to be a solid piece of material. And it ended up where I made a log, a 4x4, and I took that log, suspended 6 strings on it, took it into a nightclub and played it. Nobody paid any attention to it. So I went home. This was here in New York. And years have gone by while I'm working on this guitar. So in 1941, I finally made a 4x4 piece of wood that was solid enough to be either wood or steel railroad track. It would serve the purpose. Took it to the Gibson people, took it to all the guitar manufacturers. None of them were interested. And Gibson, the company that I respected so much, they weren't interested either. And so it took 10 years of constant pounding at them to convince them that the electric guitar was the up-and-coming instrument. And it's going to be something that's going to be important because you can play it in the back seat of a car, you can play it on a beach, you can play it anywhere. And you don't have your back turned to an audience like if you played a piano or if you had a saxophone in your mouth or something like that. This left the guitar free so that you could sing, you could talk, you could play, you could do everything you want. This seemed to be the instrument that would be the number one instrument one day. The problem with the guitar was that it wasn't loud enough. And if it wasn't loud enough for me in this barbecue stand, it wasn't loud enough in an orchestra, it meant that the guitar was the weakest instrument in the band. And so my love for the instrument was so satisfied to have an instrument that you could turn the volume up as loud as you wish, and no longer do you have to be apologetic. You can play with the best of them. And so that's how that happened.